So, what began was a vision by one by an individual named Ior Zatsi, fully known as Zatsi. Back 5 years ago and 1 month was an idea of a realistic F1 league for drivers of all sorts from all walks of the world to come together and race and enjoy ourselves. Tonight is the 5-year anniversary. Yes, September 28th, 2024 marks 5 years to today, September 28th of 2019, where RPL now was under its first name of IOR, then changed to RPL during Season 3. And here we are, 5 years later, racing after 2 for Tier 1, which started 5 years ago all the way back in Australia for Season 1, Round 1. And here we are, over 200 races later, we are at Round 15 of 20 of the Season 11 of Tier 1. Let's get this show on the road. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. Titan Iron Wolf on hand for commentary tonight. And yeah, main com this time. Ryan Searles should be joining me momentarily as my co-com. We have a stacked field going into this event here. So let's take a look here. So we have 20 drivers participating in tonight's festivities. Let's see, by the looks of it, looks like we are just missing the second Kicksauber. We're missing the second Kicksauber of, I believe it is no, it's not Mintoki. Who is it? Cam. So Cam should be on his way very soon, but let us get this show on the road. So we have George just wrapping up his lap right now, 27.7 for his time. But let's take a look at our drivers here that we have participating here tonight. So, in no particular order, there he is. I believe the audio is included.
Yes, it is.
Good.
Could be.
It should be in there. Let me pull up the thing here. Let me pull up the Twitch, just make sure. I keep forgetting about the thing. Where is it? There you are. There it is. Alright, perfect. That's up on my phone. But yeah, 5 years of RPL. Searles, what do you think?
Well, the first race we had in Australia, we had a Ferrari 1-2. That'll be a big talking point. Can Ferrari replicate that 5 years later? We also had a Dutchman on the podium in that race. We had a Dutchman on the podium in F2 earlier today, and now we have JTK in the main Ferrari who just set a lap second fastest, and that'll be the big talking point. He got Haas from 10th to 8th in the constructors the last few weeks, crawled them up there, and now can the pressure be put there? That'll be the big question. And Titan, the last 2 seasons here in Singapore, we have seen rain at some point, and we're going to have a rain-filled race, but also it's worth mentioning the championship leader never seems to survive without trouble here. Reese Dainty in Season 9, Cookie last season. I'm interested to see if there's any race that Leo Lund does have any issue in, will it be this one?
Yeah, the famed, as I would probably dub it, the famed Singapore leader's curse.
Yeah.
I mean, Season 9, it was Reese experiencing problems. Then last season, Cookie got the left rear tagged up in the wall, got stuck at the exit of the pit lane, and got instantly disqualified from the session. But is Leo Lund subject to face anything of that sort, or will he break that sort of cycle?
If he does, how
So
bad
here's
will it
our
be?
yeah, who knows? But here is our driver lineup. So McLaren, we have Jack and Leo Lund. Both are currently 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship. And we'll get to the standings of that in a moment. We have JTK filling in for Ferrari from Haas. Reese back in the saddle in Red Bull. He missed out. He got demoted down to V-Carb a couple of races ago, but good to see him back in it. TB, his replacement, is in. Reason Reese is in there is because Cookie, no power at his house due to here in the States. We have Hurricane Helene that rampaged through Georgia and Florida. Cookie, I believe, was in the crosshairs of some of the rain and the winds of that storm. That's why he is not here tonight. We have Maxwell in the Alpine, teaming up with George Alp Williams. Speaking of V-Carb, Cryptic in that V-Carb with Blue Goggy taking part. We have Torn Penguin, one of the newcomers that I mentioned last week. He, a couple weeks ago, he's in the Kick Sauber. The other Kick Sauber of Cam is MIA at this present time. Hopefully he'll join up in a bit. Aston Martin, we have Egg and Ding. Talk about a unique, nice pairing there. Let's see, Williams, we have Red Fire and Dom. Well, he's changed his name. He's AMS Dom instead of CRE Dom.
Another one to AMS.
Yeah. Haas, we have Minako and Mintoki.
Yeah, try saying that fast.
With Mintoki, if my memory's right, she raced around in Tier 2, or was it Tier 3?
Tier 2 this past
while
week.
back.
Tier 2 this past week, qualified up in the top 5 at Monza.
And I believe, if my memory's right, this is her first appearance in Tier 1.
Nope. Portugal last season. We had her at Portugal and Texas.
Okay. Well,
so it's her third, but her first with the Ferrari Academy, though, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Minako is full-time, by the way, as Invade mentioned. And JTK is full-time, too. Sorry, that was me jumping the gun there. He's at Ferrari full-time there. And, by the way, Gecko just went 4th fastest, I think. Also, we should watch out for him tonight because only one race until Texas before he could possibly be thrown out of that car, kind of like Reese was with the Red Bull full-time. So.
Yeah, and he didn't have the greatest times last week in Monza. He was subject to a couple of crashed in quality, a couple of incidents during the race itself. That really held him back pretty bad. But hopefully he'll get out of that little snuff of bad luck, perhaps. But yeah, Gecko JTK in the Ferrari, and then our last pair is the Mercedes pair, that being Skither and KVS.
Look at
KVS
that.
back in it, filling in for I believe KVS is filling in for Josh because Josh, I believe, stepped away from
Josh
being a full-time Mercedes.
Full-time, and he'll be stepping away from his TP role after the season ends. Or after the season ends. Owen will be taking that over. Lennon will be the co-TP. And I believe if we're right, I think it's Skither who's taking over for Josh now. This is the first full-time race he gets to do, and I think he's on a lap right now, too, with that being said. It's a very competitive grid. Look at that top 9. Look at all those teams up there. We still have Leo Lund to set a lap. And best of the rest right now, Blue Goggy. I once commentated a league. He had got a pole in Singapore here, and so maybe it's a good track for him. I don't know. And Maxwell G, you spoke about him, Titan. Last time we were here in season 7, that was his last win in RPL. He'll start a lap. So George won Tier 2 yesterday. Congrats to him. Skither won F2. Congrats to him on that. And Turbo got his first win in Tier 3 earlier on in the week. I don't know, maybe we could see a first-time winner tonight. I doubt it, but Cryptic goes up to 6th. Nice little lap from him. With that being said, Skither to 3rd. Skither won this race in Season 9 as well, by the way. That's important to mention because he's driving in the car that Luke Range Got his last podium in, I believe, at Singapore. No, his second to last, excuse me.
Yeah. And Singapore, bear in mind, has had quite a bit of history in regards to RPL. I mean, who could forget Season 8 when the rain
Yes.
came down and Reese
Yes.
pulled one of the most miracle of drives? Was in 13th with just under 4 laps to go, and he pulled it through to pull off one of the biggest wins of his career. And if you ever want to see that, the those last 4 laps is on the RPL YouTube channel. Just look up RPL Formula 1
Yep.
on YouTube, and you'll see that video there. It's
Leo Lund
worth a
crosses
watch.
and goes fastest. 25.5, 7/10 gap already. He is on it after invalidating his first lap. Interestingly enough, Titan, that race holds 2 records. The longest last lap in RPL history and the longest race in RPL F1 history. 62 minutes that race was, the last lap. It was so slow because it was getting so wet. Monsoon conditions. Everyone tried staying out on the inters on the last restart. Didn't work out for some, as we know. And
Mm-hmm.
it was 2 minutes and 14 seconds that last lap. That's how long it was. Yeah, it was like the race that never wanted to end, it felt like. Right now in the bottom 5, we have Cam, who's going to join us soon, both Williams, Torn Penguin, who made his debut last week, and Minico in the Haas. So, yeah, definitely some things to look out for tonight. Last season, we had a wet Q2 or Q3, I think it was, and we had a Williams of Egg getting through. And we had a surprise qualifying. Cookie and Reese, both Red Bulls invalidated at the end. Everyone had trouble keeping it on track because it got dry at the very end of the session. We're going to see rain in this race later on tonight, Titan. But interestingly enough, you know, last season was full of surprises here at Singapore. Owen winning the race, breaking that big winless streak. Maybe Gecko does the same. He's got even a longer winless streak. And we had Blonde, who was on pole provisionally, but because the 5-place grid penalty, it was Owen who took pole position that race back then. If you're just tuning in for the first time this season, by the way, Leo Lund and McLaren lead both championships. It cannot be won this week, Titan, but in a few weeks' time, we're getting closer to the championship being wrapped up.
Yeah, speaking about with those championships, that's actually what I was going into right next. Leo Lund has a 75-point lead over Jack. Oof, Mintoki just clipped the wall at the hairpin just passing the drawbridge. That's gonna hurt her. So she's gonna be trying again, unfortunately. So she's gonna have to try again. Hopefully she'll get a better run out of that. But she is the only one on a time lap. The rest of the guys out on track now are on out laps. Anyway, so Leo Lund is on top, 75 points over his teammate Jack, 240 to 165. TB is still potentially in contention for the championship right now. He has 133 points to his name. He's 107 behind Leo Lund. Cookie, unfortunately, who's not here tonight, I believe, unfortunately, I think even after today's race, unless Leo has a really poor finish, Cookie is likely to get eliminated from the championship. And the last person left is Reese, sitting in 5th with only 92 points. Those are the 5 that are still in contention to win the Drivers' Championship.
Yep.
In the Constructors, McLaren still has their lead over Red Bull by 85 points, 356 to 271. Ferrari and Aston Martin, once again, tied in points. They are tied for 3rd with 211 apiece. And Mercedes is sitting in 5th with 133. And those are the 5 teams that are still in it for Constructors.
And if you don't
I'm
mind,
currently on board with George right now as he's trying to improve his lap right now. He is currently 15th. He's in the bubble for Q1 elimination.
Dom crosses. His first lap is not good enough to get through. I was just going to say, if you don't mind, we got some laps going on. You got to it with George, who's on the bubble. He's up by a 10th. Dom, not good enough. If he goes for another one, he might get through, but I doubt it. He's not been comfortable with that car this weekend, and he goes into the wall. Okay, so yeah, he won't be going for another one. We know that. Minico is in the first sector. You spoke about George. Minico's down. From Penguin just completed the first sector. I'll check if he is up, but right now we might have some drivers getting eliminated who we may have not expected. Torn Penguin's only up by 2/10, so They're going to have to do a lot if they want to dispatch George, who's on the bubble. He's definitely proved to be a Tier 1 caliber driver in the past 2 weeks in Tier 2, winning after having qualifying bands to serve. 2/10 up, George might put Mintoki on the bubble, and Maxwell with it.
No doubt about it. Here comes George coming into the last few corners. Like I said, compared last game to this game, Singapore does have a change. And with F1, when F125 comes out next year, Singapore will get another change with the addition of a 4th DRS zone, and George does go into 12th place. So next up is going to be Torn, Penguin, and Minico. They're both right behind each other. They got to beat a 27-6 to get themselves through. And Torn Penguin comes across. He can't get enough. Minico, though, he does do it. And so Maxwell is safe.
For now.
But,
for now.
Yeah,
Red Fire on a lap.
Red Fire. Forgot about him.
Yeah. Well,
and he's over 2/10 up.
Minico just knocked out his teammate Mintoki. So that is something I did not expect to see happen here in Q1, but Red Fire is only up by 2/10. If he has time to find, it's going to come in the rest of the lap. He just clunked to the wall, and that could do it, but we're going to still remain on board with Red Fire and see if he can find time in the second sector. Ding is 7th fastest. We have an RB or a Red Bull coming across line. That is an RB. That is Gagi. He's 14th. He's just going to get through. No one can beat him, but it's now between Maxwell and Red Fire, and Red Fire is finding time. So, Red Fire has to do this all in the last sector. He's got a 10th to find in order to get to Q2. We've not seen the Williams get through with many other drivers this season. We saw it happen with Dom back in Spa to Q3, actually. But for Q2's sake, we're only going to have one of them in if any of them get in. It could be Red Fire dispatching Maxwell, and he has done it. Red Fire is into the next round of qualifying. And
Gagi's done.
Yes, Gagi is done. Maxwell was on a lap, and he got through too. Did not realize Maxwell was on a lap.
I didn't realize it either. I thought he was in the pits. I thought he was already done.
Yeah, I thought he didn't make the flag. Wow, that's on us, but Maxwell, a previous winner around here, does sneak through. Good for him.
Yeah, there it is. So your top 3, it is both McLarens, Leo and Jack, with GTK right behind. And then your eliminated 4 is Dom in the Williams, Torn Penguin in the Kick Sauber, Mintoki in the Haas, and Blue Gagi in the V-Carb. And literally just under 2/10 of a second separates Blue Gagi from Red Fire. So we'll be moving forward into Q number 2, and we'll be having some great fun in this one. And I just noticed Egg keeping into the tune of everything with the races that we go to. He switched his flag. He's now got the
always does that.
He's got the Singapore flag on him.
I don't know why, but he always does that. Speaking of drivers, Dom mentioned he has no setup on. He's going to be at a disadvantage for sure. But I think the big surprise there, I would say Gagi is not a surprise, but considering the car that he is in, you would not expect an RB to be eliminated in Q1. Usually when TB was in that V-Carb, it would get eliminated usually in Q2 when he's 11th or 12th.
Cam.
Yeah, Cam is here. Yep. But usually it'd get eliminated later on, not this early on. So Cryptic got through in that car. Gagi didn't. Minico got through in his Haas car. Mintoki didn't. Red Fire got through in the Williams. Dom didn't. I mean, we might see some interesting things here for Q3 if any of those guys get through on their laps. We have Ding, Minico, and Jack out on track, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it at all, Titan, but last week in Monza we had Leo Lund win over Florian and Jack and all those guys who took the fight to him. I just want to mention Leo Lund, I believe, took the lead around lap 13 to 16. Well, he pulled DRS on Tadpole, who, by the way, is no longer full-time in that Ferrari. He dropped to reserve. We mentioned Uni was kind of affecting everything there. I was just going to say about the gap that Leo Lund was able to pull. He pulled DRS on Tadpole, I think, around lap 15 or 16 and won the race by 12 seconds over Jack. That's the third time those two have finished 1-2. Second time for McLaren. I think that's scary for the competition. I know everyone complains, oh, Leo Lund, he's so fast for this league. He's too fast. Why is he racing RPL? I would say find a way to beat him. You almost had a chance to beat him last week because Florian and him collided on the opening lap. Leo was down in 20th. The safety car was deployed, and that changed things for sure, but Leo was still able to pull 11-second gap. It seems even if you do take Leo out, it still doesn't matter unless you take him out of the race completely. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. I just wanted to mention that because that gap we don't usually see after someone spins and wins. Usually it's a dominant performance from pole to win, not pole to spin to win. And now we've got our laps going.
Yep, so we're going on with Jack here. He's the first one across the line to get his lap started off. So 19 corners this new Singapore track is, as he's going through 1, 2, and 3, now through up into turn number 4 here, up into the first DRS zone. And here we go here. And as you were mentioning it, with Leo, people complaining about with Leo's pace and everything, some of the main detractors for Leo being too quick has come from the Red Bull squad, but I mean
Other places too.
this is gonna sound other places as well, but a lot of noise has been from Red Bull, but I would just say, and I'm technically going to be slightly biased because I'm the co-TP of the Alpine Academy. I mean, and this is going to sound slightly biased, but to them complaining, I'd be saying, well, that's what we were feeling when Cookie was dominating F1 last season.
And Luke in Season 3.
You're getting a taste of your mess.
Right, and Luke in Season 3.
And you're getting the taste of your own medicine now.
Yeah, and Skither was one who always just didn't show up all the time. I mean, we got a little lucky with that sometimes, I guess you could say, but Skither would show up a lot, and every time he's shown up, he would win, you know? But he wouldn't show up every week, like Leo has, basically, except for, what, 2 races he missed? 2, 3 races? That was for, what, holiday, karting, whatever it was, so I personally, as Jack goes fastest, I say, here's my opinion, if you keep complaining about, well, he goes fastest there as we speak about him, but, you know, I just think the complaining is a bit over the top because, you know, if you're going to complain about a driver being too fast at the top of the tier in a league, I mean, I get it. Maybe he shouldn't be an RPL and doing those, you know, doing those leagues in the point where he's maybe doing this for a bit of extra confidence or a bit of an ego boost, as some would say. I get that. But if you're going to complain about it, here's what I say. Find a way to beat him. You have academies for a reason in RPL. I know it sounds a bit childish in a way, but at the same time, you know, Red Bull has V-Carb, McLaren has Alpine, Ferrari have Haas and Sauber, and Mercedes have Williams and Aston. If you're going to find a way to beat them in a way, do what Reese did in Bahrain and even other races where this has happened. Help out your teammates who can be on the pace to beat them, even if it's by 11 seconds. Hold them up. Find a different way. It doesn't mean crash them. You can't do that. That's race manipulation. But if you hold Leo up and you end up, you know, be a distraction and it's hard for him to pass you, then, you know, that's what can help another driver on your own academy win a race. And we have seen Leo fold under the pressure a few times. Leo was not leading in Baku, tried to go for a bonsai shot and cost himself a chance at a victory. He went for 2-1, which probably was gonna only be 1-1, but outbraked himself. And obviously we know the history of Baku and what happened there. That was the photo finish, but Ding,
Yep.
one of those Aston cars who was racing for the victory. Instead, it was Jack in that car, you know, in that photo finish. We know what happened. So I think people should stop complaining about it. I really do. It's tier 1. It's the highest tier of a league. It's not like it's tier 2 where, you know, you have JTK who got promoted before, Tadpole who did, Hunted, and tier 3 with George. It's not like that. It's the highest tier of a league. Find a way to beat him or shut up. That's the way I look at it. In the most respectful way, of course. But so far, Titan, our guys we have in the bottom 5 are Maxwell, Gecko, and KVS who've not done laps, but TB and Egg are down there.
Yeah, currently TB is the slowest of this field, but Egg is currently retrying on his lap. He slowed down. He made a mistake somewhere. Here he comes out of the final corner and comes across the line to go second fastest, and he's about a quarter of a second behind Leo at this present time. So yeah, Maxwell, Gecko, and KVS yet to get a lap in, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to see TB all the way down at the at the bottom of the field in regards to lap time.
It is.
I mean, this guy is the season 8 champion, and as we were mentioning it, by the way, since just gonna briefly mention it. I mean, let's think about this. With the champions that we've had in the 5 years of RPL, you have Ding, who is the season 1 champion. You have Will, aka Maui 41, the season 2 champion. Then season 3, 4, and 5 was Luke, who is still the most winningest driver in all of RPL's
95
in all of
wins.
RPL's history. Yep,
Yep.
95 wins across
Skither's 30 off
Tier
now after
1,
his
Tier
F2 wins,
2.
by the way.
Yep. Season 6 and Season 7 was Skither, who did it with 2 different teams. Same goes with Luke as well. TB, the Season 8 champion, as he's currently out on the track, getting himself some experience here.
I'll get Cam back in.
Yep. Reese, the Season 9 champion. That he has had quite a roller coaster run for himself, I think, and that championship he got in Season 9 was pretty much well deserved. He was trying and trying for many seasons to get it done, and he finally got it done. And then Cookie wound up getting the championship during Season 10. And I would say, given with the competition and everything, I say pretty soon Leo will be joining that illustrious field of champions for Season 11.
Yeah, when Leo can win the title earliest, I think comes next week. It depends on what Jack does. Gecko goes 3rd fastest and right behind Egg, knocking Minicoat into that bottom 5 right now. We have NRM KBS, who you're riding on board with, coming across the line now. He got a podium in this race last season. He goes 2nd fastest for Mercedes, and that knocks Cryptic down to the bottom 5. And TB is on a lap now. If you want something to laugh at, Titan, go to the Twitch chat with Dom and Vade there. It's a nice exchange. Anyways, I'm going to ride on board with TB, and I'm going to talk about his lap, and I'll give it to you midway through the lap. Turn 1 through 5, some tricky areas when it comes to the track limit, something we'll be paying attention closely to tonight. TB now coming through the little straight here with DRS and 5/10 up on the time. I expected that. I'm going to guess that lap he did was probably used tires, Titan, considering he was that far off. Usually we don't see cars that far off, but keep in mind, Skither was 2nd behind too, so I would not be surprised if that was used tires. And that was a little kiss to the wall, by the way. Keep in mind, as I'm going to give it to you, Titan, 65% still left in this ERS. A lot of battery to play with as we get to 2 more straights.
Yeah, absolutely. Here comes TB just coming out of the hairpin past the bridge, now into the second of 3 DRS zones. As said, when F125 comes out next year, we'll be seeing 4, because our 4th DRS straight is right here where TB is going through. The McLaren, I believe that's Leo getting out of the way. Yes, it is. Here comes TB into the last couple of corners through 17 now. Now into the sweeping left of 18 and 19 to come across and finish his time. And he puts it 2nd fastest with a 26.2. My goodness, we've seen 2nd place change so many times. It was Gecko, then Egg, KVS, and now TB. And when those 3, except for TB, when those 3 were trained spots, look at the gap between KVS and Gecko. Only 0.03 of a second separates 3rd to 5th. That is very close and very tight between this group. And the top 5 is only separated by... Whoa! Well, now Cryptic. Wow, did not expect that.
That
Dang,
is
Cryptic.
going to be good enough for Q3, I think. That is really good for Cryptic. By the way, Maxwell was just on a lap, and he aborted, went into the pit lane. He did not feel comfortable with that one. Someone who is on a lap and currently in that bottom 5 is Skither. Leo is also on a lap, bettering himself by 0.3. So maybe Cryptic's lap was not as impressive. It's very demoralizing for a lot of the drivers when they go out there. TB mentioned this last week in Monza. You spoke about Red Bull being big critics. Right now they have cars 2, 3, and 8. But unironically, it was TB who mentioned it last week. How he said, I set a good lap in qualifying. I feel like I did a really good lap, and then Leo goes out there and smashes it out the park. So, I mean, Cryptic's about to have this lap go from 83 thousandths off to probably about 0.8 off. Here comes Leo across the line now, and that's 0.9. Leo won 25-2. That's incredible stuff. Skither is gaining right now on his time that he is needing to gain on. 4/10 up in the middle sector. He will put Ding into that bottom 5 if he completes this lap validly. And no surprise, like we saw with TB Titan, it's going to be interesting to see where people use ERS. Right down the straight, you're going to see a lot of people use it. 60% was saved. Now he's on 30 because he used it all in that straight that you were talking about, which will have DRS next game. Skither uses overtake in the final couple of corners and sets a lap that's 4th fastest. See, you don't usually expect a lap to be 4th fastest and a second off of the top time, especially with how close these era cars are. You think we're back on F1 2020 when Luke Grange won 15 in a row. And by the way, Titan, it was this race back in Season 3 that stopped Luke's 15 in a row streak. Just for context,
Yes.
Ding is right now on a lap.
Yeah, currently on board with Ding, and if we have Leo removed off of the equation, literally 0.8 of a second separates Cryptic, who's in second, all the way down to Ding, who's in 11th right now, with just a tiny hair below 27 flat. And what's more wild is that with Leo's time with a 25.2 is not his fastest. Apparently he did some practice earlier today, and his personal best that he did in GP mode, 24.699.
And you should go do it.
A 0.55 difference there. As Ding jumps up into 8th place right now, that knocks JTK down to the bottom 5, but not for long. JTK, the second guy into the 25s, 25.7 for JTK. What a lap there.
Folks, that's why he's in a Ferrari tonight, and that's why he's also in it for the remainder of the season, replacing Tadpole. Reese Dainty, our Season 8 winner, is coming into the end of Sector 1. He just had a big moment there. He might barely get Jack here, but I don't know about anyone else right now. Only 90 seconds and less ticking down on that clock. For JTK's case, I want to mention that lap. That's the closest anyone has got to Leo, and I'm interested to see with others out on track like Jack, like Skither and Ding are going to come back to the pits, I believe. They're not going to go for another one unless they feel like they're at risk. But I'm interested to see if Reese or Jack can get anywhere close to JTK's lap. Yeah, he put Haas from 10th to 8th in the Constructors the last few weeks with his performances. So we're looking at maybe a first-time podium sitter in Tier 1 tonight. A previous Tier 2 champion, that is, by the way. We got other Tier 2 champions in 3rd and 10th and 11th. We're going to see how they end up shaping up. Reese is up 4/10 on the time. 40 seconds remain. Not the checker flag just yet, but he's going to use some ERS. Before he gets to the line, Reese Dainty is going to better his lap and go 3rd fastest ahead of Cryptic. So Red Bull now sit 3, 4, and 5. And Jack has just a few more corners to navigate, and he'll be knocking Ding out then. Ding is on an invalid lap and saving some battery to get to the line and start another one. Jack goes 3rd fastest now. And for Ding's case, he is out. He is coming back to the pit lane. It's up to George. Minico's up by 5/10. Red Fire's up by 2/10 in the first sector. And Maxwell doesn't even have a lap yet to dispatch Gecko, who's on the bubble.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive upset if Gecko gets eliminated here. Here comes Minico out of the last couple of corners here. Let's see what he's got for time. He improves to 12th, but it is not enough. So Minico is going to be knocked out along with Ding. Here comes Maxwell now, out of the last corner. He wound up having the Ding treatment. Couldn't get a valid lap in, but this is now or never. Here comes Maxwell across the line. He is 13th and out of qualifying.
And
next up, Red Fire Tiger.
They're both going to be joining them too. Yeah, Red Fire's not up enough. He's up, but it's just not enough. Same with George.
Yeah, and George is actually losing time, unfortunately. He's only 800ths up after Sector 2, so he made a mistake somewhere in Sector 2. Here comes Red Fire across the line. Yeah. He stays down at 15th, but unless George does something insane out of this last sector,
or two, but nothing more.
He may not make it.
Yeah,
but
it's
here
nothing
comes
more here.
George out of the last corner here, and coming across the line, he goes to 12th. So Gecko just survives to get through into Q3, but take a look at the gap here from Skither at 26.0 all the way down to Ding in 11th. Under 4/10 of a second separates that batch. That is,
wow.
And when I say that's tight, that is tight.
Yeah, our season one winner, Ding. I think that's my big surprise for who's eliminated, because in fact, you would have the top 5 cars getting through to Q3 if it weren't for Cryptic's amazing, sensational lap that he set there in the RB. He's ahead of a Red Bull, in fact. That's the fake TV. Usually you'd expect that to be Reese, but it actually is him behind Reese, in fact. Minico, I'm not surprised about being eliminated, by the way, Titan. That car is not fast enough to get through. Same with the Alpine and the Williams as well. You know, Redfire snuck his way in. We didn't expect much, but the fact that he's right there with the guys right in front of him in the Haas and the Alpine, that's good enough for me. So, Leo, JTK, Jack is the top 3. It's a 5/10 gap between Leo and the second place driver. But now we ask for your Q3 predictions in the Twitch chat as we get things going here for the next session. For pole position under the lights of Singapore before a wet race awaits us.
Yeah, so Redfire, Maxwell, Minico, George, and Ding are eliminated from Q2. Leo Lund on top with GTK and Jack right behind. So we will be moving on into Q3 now. So let's see, what will pull time be? Who will be top 3? Whoever, to those watching, put your predictions in. Who do you think's going to be top 3? Who do you think will be, what poll time will be?
In fact,
because
Titan,
Q3 is firing away.
I want to mention Leo Lund is looking for his 4th pole in a row. If he gets this pole tonight, he gets up to 6 on the all-time pole list, passing Reese Dainty. A few other drivers to mention who have not been on pole in a while, who could be taking pole tonight. We have TSR. If this could be a crazy session. We don't know what could happen. Leo got his lap invalidated in Q1. We know drivers are pushing it. Remember last week, Leo took all the way till the end of the session. I think it was either in one of the, I don't remember which session it was, to get a valid lap in. So Singapore has been treated with some surprises in qualifying before. We saw Rain at the end of season 9 give Skither pole, but Luke Range was in second, and he really did not have the pace throughout any qualifying session up until then. So we could see some surprises, one of those being Cryptic. He's not had a pole since season 9 Japan. That car, the RB, they've actually never had pole in RPL. They've had a 2nd place qualifying spot once before. I believe that came with, I'm checking right now, Oxtez in season 3 Canada. Egg has not had a pole in 1,015 days. That was his only F1 pole. KVS has never had pole, by the way. JTK has never had pole. He's actually never started in the top 5 in Tier 1 in his Ferrari debut. Good job in getting through here. Gecko would need a pole quite badly, considering the whole thing with Ferrari and in their case with maybe getting rid of him eventually. And yeah, we Titan, who, Leo? Probably. I would bet. I mean, but by how much? How much do you think he's going to do it by if he does? If that's who you're taking.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Is going to definitely be the pole position. It's going to be Leo. But as for what the time I think,
oh boy,
I'm going to go insane.
Go ahead.
On my predicted time. My top 3, and I'm going to say it in particular order. I'm going to say JTK will be in 3rd. Jack will be 2nd. And with a pole time sitting somewhere in the 24.8 range is Leo. I think Leo can get himself into the 24s.
I love this right now. I love what we're seeing, and I love what we're hearing. Either way, Gecko is the first one to come across the sector split. You're on board with Skither, who's actually just came out of the garage, meaning that Leo Lund's the only one in the garage. But Gecko is right now completing the 1st sector, now into the 2nd sector, right up against the wall. Look at that. I think he gave it just a little touch right there. And this will be the 1st lap to go for pole position. I don't know if Gecko's ever had a Ferrari pole, but in fact, he was on pole last season, right after the halfway break at Zandvoort. And that was when teammate Cookie was not here. In fact, Cookie's not here tonight. I hope all's well there with... I know he's not in Florida right now, but you know his state's basically underwater, and we might get this racetrack underwater with the way things are going in the race. I don't know if it's inters. I don't know if it's wets. I'll check the driver streams when we get more toward that, Titan. But Gecko has barely any battery to spare. I'm interested if he uses any before the line. Yes, he does. He'll be the benchmark and a lap to beat. Gecko crosses, and it will be a 25.9. Next up is the Mercedes of Skither, who starts a lap, and then it is the Red Bull, or RB of Cryptic, excuse me. He has aborted,
Well, you
meaning,
abandoned.
yeah, it's up to KVS now to find out if that benchmark was good enough from Gecko. It may have just been 26.1, 2/10 gap, fastest in the final sector from Cavis.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, next up is going to be the Red Bull. Is the Red Bull boys
Oh
of
boy.
TB and Reese. So Reese coming out of TB coming out of the final corner, and it is a 26.3. Man, I think TB is just testing the waters, making sure it's right before going back out for another run. And Reese even slower, man. I think these guys are probably just testing the waters, just making sure the lap they have is right,
Well,
and
Jack
they'll be
invalidated.
okay and roaring to go. Yeah, Jack did invalidate. I just saw that. That's why I cut to GTK, who's just finishing his lap. Leo's about to
Ooh.
fire off his, and GTK 26.1 for him. Leo is starting his time lap as we speak. Jack has fallen back to the pits to try again later on. Egg now coming out of the final corner.
Whoa!
He goes up to second. Nice work from him. This is the type of pace I like to see Egg in,
Yes.
but I kind of wish it was in a top car.
Oh!
As Skither just bops him just enough.
You were talking about take Leo out of this for a second, Titan. That top 5 is just above 2/10s right there. That's the kind of Egg I remember seeing at the start of the season, and that's also the kind of Skither I remember seeing in Saudi Arabia when he was that exact gap away from taking pole on Leo Lund back in Saudi. Leo is having a few moments here in the middle sector, I see right now. I'm not sure if you're riding on board
Yeah,
with
he
that.
almost clocked the drawbridge.
Yeah, so he's really pushing these limits to try and go to the pole time you expected him to have. But for Skither's case, only showing up once in a while here and then doing times like that, I'm impressed with it. I know he does end up showing up, doing usually no practice and doing a good time anyway, but with limited time in this game, mainly doing only well at the F2 cars, it's showing that he can still do well and be in his prime if you give him the chance. Leo Lund has been given the chance to go to pole in the McLaren. Will he do it this time in Q3 on the first time? It is a 9/10 gap, 25-0. Leo Lund is back, trying to go for 4 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those, and I'm just also gonna note this little piece as Cryptic's about to start his time lap. If you notice right below on the screen the telemetry here, you
Yes.
notice the bars on there. You have the green bar that shows the available ERS deployment available to you. The yellow bar is your battery available to you. So from what we kind of understand is that apparently with the new update that F1 did a couple of weeks ago, which brought the F2 2024 cars, there is a glitch where the ERS deployment is virtually non-existent. And it has been noted by quite a few of the drivers over the last week or two, and I mean, I've even noticed it myself in one of my races last Sunday, that the ERS is just very slow to drain away, and it just and at points it even goes to a certain point, and it just stops.
I mean, I didn't note it, but I just commentate races. I didn't pay attention too much to that. I'll just tell you right now. I'll just tell you right now about that, though. That just makes the
I'm
races
just
more
having my
chaotic.
Julian Palmer moment, just
Yeah.
doing the techie side shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, KVS is back out there. Jack's back out there. KVS invalidated. Jack's on a lap. Cryptic's completing a lap. And I'll get to that in a moment. But I was just going to say, Titan, that's why we have seen in recent races, Zandvoort, Monza, you name it, just DRS trains all over. That's what this game has been about quite a bit. Cryptic is right up there in the pack. Good to see that he is not being a pretender from his Q2 lap for sure. Yeah, I think personally, that's why we knew already at the start of this game you're going to see a lot of DRS trains, ERSB, just... it's not like last game to where you drain it and it stays that way. You can just recover it so easily, and then everyone is still in the DRS train. Everyone's still in the fight. Slipstream is so powerful. That's why they had to ban it for a race, I'm pretty sure, back in Spa because of
Yep.
how ridiculous it was. It's no surprise, and in fact, if that ERS, to your point, is barely draining as much as it used to, then it's just going to make it much more worse and much more chaotic. But that also means if you can stay in the train with Leo Lund and have a chance, then you have maybe slight bit more of a chance. I don't know. With his pace, though, I doubt anyone's beating him. We're going to see where his teammate Jack Miles goes, because last week he had a poor qualifying, Jack did. Jack makes it a McLaren 1-2, and I'm not sure if we've ever seen a McLaren front row lockout, but we have not seen a front row lockout really at all in a long time in RPL. You would have to go back to Season 10, Round 19 in Japan when Red Bull did it.
Wow, that long? So almost a full season.
Almost
Good
a
Lord.
full season. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jack about 3/4 of a second behind Leo, as some more cars are coming out to get what's essentially probably their last lap in, to see who can challenge the time here.
Titan?
I think you saw something funny. What was that?
Yeah, Cam wants Leo to save some grip for him. And I don't blame him because Cam did not make it to qualifying. I mean, Cam, you're in a kick, a steak, a Sauber, whatever you want to call the car. I mean, I kind of want to see you and Leo change cars next round. Your home race, right? Yeah, Texas. So, yeah.
Speaking, now when you were mentioning earlier about the DRS trains and everything, I mean, bear in mind, think about this: under 2 years from now, when F126 comes out, DRS,
Car.
DRS is dead.
Yeah.
Because when the F1 cars change up for 2026, DRS will be gone.
Yeah, so if you want any chance to beat Leo, you're gonna have to do it without DRS, pretty much. That's what he's saying. So,
Yup.
I love to make the jokes. I must say, everyone wants someone to do it, but no, a lot of respect to Leo Lund. I think when he gets to esports someday and racing with the big dogs, I think he will definitely look back at this time and definitely enjoy it. Everyone, just like the Max domination, the Vettel domination, the Hamilton domination, the Schumacher, Senna, you name it, all those drivers who dominated. We didn't like when it happened at the time, but we've got to appreciate it. That's the thing I think not enough people are doing what Leo has done. There's some records that will definitely be stomped upon for sure. Our final laps are beginning now. Gecko and TB are starting theirs. I'm going to ride on board with Gecko, Titan, and as he comes through here, oh, he just tapped the wall a little bit. Yeah, he's using that battery down to 50%. And you said that battery barely drains. Maybe that's why some of these guys are able to gain it back so much and have a little bit to spare to go on the power into the final couple of corners. And Gecko there has gone wide. He was only 9 thousandths up on that time right there. TB is bettering himself by 40 thousandths. Right now, Skither's coming through the sector split up by 41 thousandths. Reese Dainty has come through, and I didn't catch him, but I'm going to catch it through my race director. Reese Dainty is up by 2/10 right there. So, some interesting developments
Leo
going
Lund
on
is not
here.
gaining time.
There you go. Leo Lund's first lap must have been good enough to remain on pole to get 4 in a row. We'll find out in moments' time. That RB or Red Bull, whichever one it was, that was Cryptic, just crossed the line in time to start the lap. Gecko is down by 77 thousandths, and he's trying to defend what is the second row for right now. He's got a few more corners to go. Does he turn on the jets? Yes, he does. 2 more corners to go for Gecko. Crossing the line now, and he just misses out on beating Jack. Next up is the Red Bulls.
Yeah, TB over 4/10 up, but he invalidated out somewhere. So I think he invalidated at the start of Sector 3. That's going to hurt him. That's a Mercedes. Is that
Skither tagged the
Skither
wall.
or-
Yeah, that's it for him. Reese goes up to 4th. Second row. Next is the McLarens. Leo's up by 2/10 in the second sector. Is he bettering this by a whole second? Wow!
Oh, yeah.
24/7, and JTK is on the front row in his debut with Ferrari.
Nice.
Unless
Very
Ed
nice
can
work.
dispatch him.
Or by some insanity, what Cryptic
He's
does
invalidated, though.
Here
Cryptic's
comes Egg.
invalidated. Cryptic
Oh,
can't do
that
it.
sucks.
Egg to the line. It will be only 5th. Leo Lund is on pole for the 4th time, ahead of JTK, who disrupts the McLaren 1-2.
Yeah, so Dom just got his prediction dead center. He predicted 24/7 for Leo, and he got it dead center. And Josh just saying Leo
He's
casually
correct.
doing the world record in session.
He
but
did. Leo,
but
24/7 is the world record around Singapore. Leo Lund. That's big. That's a statement.
Well, it's not just also the world record. He's done faster than that. I mean, Josh, if you caught what I said earlier, Leo did set a 24:699 in a GP race earlier today.
Can I mention
So
one
Leo
other
on
thing,
pole, GTK in second, and Jack rounding out the top 3. And, Jesus, look at that!
We've
almost
not
a
had a
full
pole gap
second
that big
ahead.
since Season 5 Portugal.
Woo.
That was back when
Wait,
Egg
Cookie
took
didn't have
pole in a
anything higher
wet
than that?
session.
Cookie didn't have any big gaps like that? Thought he did.
Wow. And that's his 12th pole all-time for Leo. And as I look on the driver's screens here, Skither, it says it's streaming F123. Nice one. He's streaming F124, by the way, Twitch. I hope you want to update that, Twitch. When you have a chance, Twitch. But okay, Skither's not going on to the weather at all. Reese is. Okay, so here's what it is. The first 5 patches are, well, first 4 patches are either clear or partly cloudy. The 5th patch is overcast, while the 6th patch is slightly wet. The final and 7th patch is extremely wet. What does that mean here is we have 20 seconds before the lights out, Titan. Basically, if we had that Singapore section we had back in Season 8 and prior, we would have full wets for sure. We would only probably have that if there is a safety car or enough safety cars. Maxwell's rejoined. We're getting ready for the lights out for the 11th season of racing in Singapore.
Yeah, so here we go. Here we go. The 5 lights come on to start the Singapore Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go. Good reaction from Leo Lund. An even better reaction, a slightly better reaction from Jack, who gets ahead of GTK. Gets Leo too on the outside. What a lovely attack by Jack to get ahead of Leo here. JTK plummeting down to the 4th place spot. We have a problem in turn 3. That's Maxwell, probably because he's trying to reconnect back. But more cars following that. Oh, we just saw that flying back, and Maxwell couldn't get back on the car, couldn't take control. He left the session, but that automatically retired his car. Maxwell already done and dusted. Meanwhile, further back, TB pressuring Cryptic on the outside, now the inside. Cryptic falls to 10th, TB up in the 7th. Maxwell's joining back, but he's finding out he's going to be done. He is out.
I'm very surprised Jack did not get crashed in a turn 1. It was JTK who squeezed him so tough to where they almost came together, and Jack still went around the outside of Leo. I don't know if Leo was defending JTK there or not, but our biggest loser would be Maxwell. He's out of this race. Besides him, it was Minico who got a little tap down there at the first corner of Sector 2. By the way, he's down 4. Up 3 are the guys in 13th to 16th. Those are our biggest winners. Leo is there on the back of Jack as we complete lap 1. Wow.
Yeah, so Jack going to be completing lap 1 ahead of his teammate Leo, with Gecko, JTK, the Ferrari's close behind. DRS is enabled. Egg in 5th, Reese down in 6th. The Mercedes 7th and 8th, TB 9th, and Cryptic down in 10th. There's your tire graphic right there on the board here. Red Fire and TB on the hard compound tires. Everyone else is on the medium compound tires.
Here we go. Leo leads this race now.
Lead switch.
Yeah. Fair play.
Switch for the lead between Leo and Jack. So both McLarens now lead the way 1-2 here as we go on board. We were just on board with Jack. There's Gecko right behind him, as you can see from the rear, that rear spoiler cam. Gecko is within DRS of Jack, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to warrant for a shot and an attack. But further back, who might be possibly going for an attack, is going to possibly be Ding. You know, Ding is trying to eye up Cryptic to get himself into the 10th place spot, but not close enough at this present time. Ding's going to have to stay in the 11th place position for the time being. And meanwhile, speaking about with GTK, starts second, down in 4th. GTK has lost tabs on his teammate. He is out of the DRS range.
And he's leading a DRS train behind that. So unfortunate for our Season 7 winner in Singapore, Max, to be out of this race. Ding, the Season 1 winner of this race, is right on the back of Cryptic. That's the last spot, first spot outside the points. I was going to say last spot of the points, but that's not true. And our top 3 are in DRS. Jack has about the same ERS as Leo, same with Gecko. No move will be made there. I don't expect any. JTK is just barely hanging on to Egg right there. And behind, we have Goggy versus Groggy. We saw this earlier today in F2. It's Blue Goggy getting the better of George for now. Goggy goes a little too deep. George will try and pressurize him around the outside once more, but Blue Goggy is up to 12th place. He has now gained the most places of anybody from the opening 3 laps. And George does have damage on the right side part of his wing. So just keep that in mind for how he handles in this train. Maybe that's why they lost DRS earlier on.
Well, don't forget, this is also Singapore, where you're going to be using the highest amount of downforce possible. The wings are at 50-50 for a lot of these guys. So gain damage on your car is going to be a bit of a problematic scenario if you're not careful. And George losing that wing, he is probably one of the ones that lost the wing, lost that end plate on that first lap, on the first DRS straight.
Well, Minico
he
had
wasn't the only one. Minico, yeah, Minico had to replace his. Yes.
I did
like
clip
further up. I think
what happened
Egg
by
is.
The way there.
Oh, good.
So
Egg looks like he's eyeballing GTK for the 4th place position. He's all over, just sniffing that back end of JTK there, trying to eyeball to get himself into the top 4. A little smack in the wall. Hopefully that didn't damage that Aston too much. There goes them. Looks like the Mercedes just switch up, and Egg not close enough yet to warn for an attack.
Whoa!
And now his end plate's still there. Is that Reese going wide?
That was Ding, who tried to pull
Ding.
a Ricardo-style move on TB from 2014 Monza there. They tried to do that on TB, and it didn't work out. Cryptic got by TB on that same straight, and Ding, that was very suicidal if you were still going to go for it. I'm glad you backed out and did not go for it in the braking zone, because that could have taken out either one of the 2 previous RPL champions, TB of Season 8 and Ding of Season 1, and TB had a big moment right there. Ding is all over the back of him now.
Yeah, Ding trying to eyeball TB. Basically TB up a really good racer, really strong and good in regards to competitiveness, going up against Ding. Ding, one of the OGs of RPL, been around since the founding of it.
Yeah. 5 years ago today.
And a bit of a fun fact for Ding. Whoa, he almost lost it in turn 1. Just caught the onboard, just trying to. He's just fighting the controls of that car going through there. But anyways, with Ding, the very first race, Season 1, Round 1 in Australia, Ding was in an Alfa Romeo.
Alongside Owen, and got points. JTK, you might be lucky if that does not get submitted to the stewards. I don't know if that was twice or if that was too late, but Egg had to back off right there on the straight, and this battle might go back to Cryptic if they keep battling very egregiously like that. I mean, JTK is not at all fast right now, if I'm being honest, and
he's recharging the battery.
Yeah, well, that's one thing, but also Egg is all over the back of him and has a lot more pace. The other thing is that these guys have lost so much touch, as Minico's like, I'll get him an invite soon, but these guys have lost touch to the top 3 train, you know? Just like we were saying in qualifying, Titan, if you don't have touch of that train, you have no chance, and that is really proving evident for JTK and the guys further behind him.
Yeah, and Egg is still trying to put that pressure all over Egg trying to put all that pressure on JTK, but bear in mind that's also bringing Reese, Skither, and KVS into the mix as well. And Cam, down in 18th, is the first driver to receive a track limit penalty. You see on the marker there's 2 people with those penalty flags. Cam is the first with track limits. Dom, though, got a 10-second penalty on lap 1 for cutting a corner and gaining a position. My best guess is probably there was an incident right around in the turn on that first DRS zone, and Dom had to avoid to not get in any trouble. Yeah, TB clearing Cryptic, getting himself in there. Yeah, Reese down the inside.
Yeah. Reese
Just
was
caught
fighting
it.
the guy who's taking his ride, taking his old ride next season, and Reese hit the curb and went wide. That allowed Skither to go past. He was trying to pass Egan and slot behind, and that curb disrupted him on the inside of the first corner of Sector 2. That's what Skither got assisted by there.
Yeah, some of these curves can be a little bit brutal if you're not careful. It can catch you off guard, send you a little airborne and stuff. Meanwhile, going into a hairpin, by the way.
Yeah, Mintoki got involved with George and Gagi there. Whatever happened at the hairpin, Mintoki ghosted inside of one of those cars and lost places. I think George and Gagi may have had it almost coming together, and Mintoki, I don't know if she was trying to avoid it or not, but she was the one I saw ghosted when I switched to that. So we'll see if that gets submitted to the stewards, and if it does, that could definitely have a big change in things later, because remember, we still have a wet period to go in this race. It will rain for sure. It's just, will it be enough for inners? Will it be enough for wets if we get a safety car to go with it? And that's Cam having more trouble to his race. Minico did get to join back in, by the way, so he's all good there. But that will be interesting, because that could be the fight for the points with George Gagi. If anything happens in front, right now we've got Egg going for it or not. No, staying behind the Ferrari of JTK, and another previous Ferrari driver behind there of Skither in this fight. This train now goes to TB, and soon it could be Cryptic and Ding. That's how much these guys are losing time.
Now, speaking about with Skither, his history, he's been in a lot of teams over the course of some of the seasons. He was in Mercedes for season 6 when he won the championship. He was in Red Bull for season 7 when he won that championship. Did a little spell in Ferrari for a little bit. Then wound up going to McLaren for quite a bit of time, up until moving back to I believe it was Mercedes during season 10 while he was fighting with Cookie. That was actually a really nice fight between them last season. Good for that kind of entertainment there. But still, Egg is still all over the back of JTK, but JTK is really holding his own to keeping that ass in back.
Gecko also has lost DRS to the 2 McLarens. Jack has better ERS right now than Leo, and Jack has stayed behind for a while, not making this move. One of the most improved drivers, it must be said, throughout the last few seasons, and Cam has cut that corner in the old Singapore sling and got a 10-second for it. Egg on the mover on the outside, but JTK just cuts him off. That is so tight there. I would have to say, Jack is one of the most improved drivers throughout the last few seasons in RPL. Really the last season. Last week, he got a personal record of most podiums in a single season, or at least I think it was maybe either tying that record or beating it. And JTK is still defending. Remember, his teammate lost DRS, so he might get to Gecko when things are all said and done. We never know. That's why maybe he's fighting this so hard. Maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. Cam is pitting and got a 3-second on the pit entrance. Is he retiring? I don't know. He just hit the pit wall, though, and he's out.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's definitely going to be out. Yeah. Here comes Egg on the outside trying an attack. Just couldn't get it done. GTK made himself just wide enough to keep him back, but hopefully Egg maintains that patience because he doesn't want to get too flustered. Because if he gets flustered, usually flustered drivers make mistakes.
It could also allow Skither to
happen.
That's the other thing.
Yes, it does.
And there's everybody's there in this train except for Cryptic. I mean, everybody is there to pounce. If you make a mistake in this train, you're going down to 10th or 11th. Pretty much as simple as that. Our leaders 38% on the battery for Leo, 78% for Jack. So in this last lap, he just saved 20% more than Leo. So Jack is not pushing as much and still staying there where Leo is pushing. Egg is using the battery. Is this enough to make the move down here into the first corner of Sector 2? JTK shows him the inside. Egg goes the long way. And Egg, does he clear him? Oh, he almost cuts into him. Egg is through. That was beautiful, where only just a little bit of contact did not disrupt either one of them and allowed there to be clean racing there. Does Skither take advantage now becomes the question. JTK is seriously struggling. 5/10 he's lost to Egg now since being passed.
That was a very lovely maneuver by Egg going around the outside. You don't see moves like that much. Here goes Skither, by the way, on the inside in the hairpin. That's another area you don't expect moves like that. And Skither is up into 5th. And now Reese is trying to see a shot down the inside. Ooh, yes, Skither almost lost it out of that corner. Here comes Reese right behind with Skither right there, and Reese is up in the 6th. GTK started in 2nd. He's plummeted down to 7th place, and we're only a third of the way in. I'm wondering if those mediums are really flying apart.
TB.
Yeah, TB.
It's on the inside. Repeat of lap 1. TB shoves JTK out. Will that go to the stewards? Did he feel forced off? Did TB have the right to do that? That'll be big questions raised later on. TB gets the place, and meanwhile, Jack is closing in on Leo, having a full tank of battery. Leo's only on 40. This is super big for Jack to take advantage of, actually putting the fight to Leo. And Reese and Skither, 2 rivals previously, side by side here into, and Reese is ahead.
Yeah, Reese did the same thing that Egg did a lap ago. But Skither tried to fight it back, but just couldn't get it done. And yeah, Egg is clear of Reese, but now can try to, but yeah, Egg is like over 6 seconds behind Gecko, so he's gonna have a lot of ground to make up to try to catch up to that Ferrari to find himself onto the podium right now. Skither right now in the 6th place spot with GTK behind. Meanwhile, further back, we just had a fight going into the hairpin.
That was right before the hairpin. He got the move on Penguin. Wow.
Nice job there.
You talk about the
make an attack on Mintoki.
Yeah, well, you talk about the hairpin. You don't usually see moves there. I mean, you don't even see moves like right before the hairpin, in fact, because it's such a tight section. By the way, when Minako got damage on the opening lap there, he said it was contact with George. So that is what happened there, and our first pit stops are happening. Cryptic is in, and I think he's got some company there. George is one of them. George is boxing. Also, Dom is boxing too. Remember, Dom has no setup on as well. That time by, Leo, 10% worse in the battery than last time. Jack used 20% through there. Reese Dainty is in 5th, by the way, and has lost touch of that train that he would have had with Egg. Now he's the one leading the train. Yup.
Very nice move by KVS. That's the 3rd driver in 3 laps to get GTK via that same maneuver. I mean, fool me once. Shame on you. But JTK, you fell for that 3 times in a row. I think maybe when you had Ding challenging you, I think you ought to just be on the outside and just cover that outside to make sure that they don't get you on the outside.
Everyone is saying there might have been a Dutchman on the podium in the first RPL F1 race 5 years ago to this date, but we're not going to allow that to happen this time. Probably the better Dutchman anyway.
So just taking a look at a slight review currently. We are just completing lap 11 of 31 here of the Singapore Grand Prix.
Ding got GTK.
11 RPL.
Ding got GTK.
Ding got
where
GTK.
Cryptic got ads back in season 9. And Reese just
and
got
Reese
Egg because Egg is in the
Egg's
pits. Yep,
pitting,
never mind.
that's why. Okay.
Yeah, we both did it. We both did it.
Okay. Yeah, and so is GTK. GTK is in to pit as well. Let's take a look at the tires here as Egg and GTK getting off of those mediums and onto the hard compound tires. Mintoki is also coming
TB's in the back of Skither.
Well.
He's using battery tight, and we got to get to this. TB is maybe trying to get 5th place after He was far enough back there at the start. TB, is he clearing sight there now? No, he's not. Still side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel action here. And TB with the lunge just sneaks ahead. Red Bull have a chance to fight with both of their drivers. Do both of them fight it out, or do both of them try and overcut egg right here? TB's on the hards, Reese on the mediums. I think they're on opposite strategies, so they really don't have to worry about much. And I just want to mention, Titan, I feel like Jack is just fighting for his life to stay in DRS here of Leo. I know Leo is on 45% with that battery, but for Leo's case, as Red Fire gets a position there, for Leo's case, Leo is not using a lot of, he is using a lot of ERS, but Jack also is too, and Jack is using overtake in certain areas just to stay within Leo and have the chance at DRS. Look at this. On the main straight, Jack's using it, and he's gaining in a little bit. He's going to do the same thing the next straight, and he's going to save DRS for now. But, oh,
never mind. I thought Gecko was going in, but some must have went wrong.
He missed the pits.
I think Gecko tried to pit and missed it, yeah.
That's what the yellow flags were for. I was just going to say with Jack, even though he's got a lot of ERS right now down the straight, he uses it a little bit, then saves some to, I think he's fighting for his life to stay within Leo. It's so hard to keep up with a driver like Leo, so that's what we see right there. And for both Red Bull's case, does TB lead Reese by the end of this lap, or does Reese still lead him? We have 3 more drivers boxing, that's Skither, Ding, and Penguin.
Yeah, they're coming off of those mediums as well, and going on to the hard compound tires for those guys. Now, bear in mind, Red Fire and TB are on the hard compound tires. Now, there is rain going to be coming in later on in this event. You did say it was at the 6th and 7th marks of there. That means we're going to be seeing rain probably within, I would say, rough shot in the dark, probably within the final 6 laps of this event.
Yeah, they're just got JTK coming out of the pits, by the way, side by side right here. Oh, JTK almost clipped his rear wheel. You want me to ask hold on. JTK up and under. We're back at it. Down into here. This might be tricky to stay side by side, but they do. This is getting very, very tight. JTK's ahead. Ooh. Jack is in, by the way.
Jack's in, yeah.
Yeah. You want me to ask the 4A Academy when it's
played it safe and left it.
You want me to ask the 4A
if you can.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if you can. It's probably going to be, I'm going to safely say it's going to be within the final 6 laps of the event. So probably if TB and Red Fire are good and safe with their tire management, they could probably stay out on these hard tires until the rain shows up. That means they can only do a 1 stop and they'll be fine. But I don't know if those tires will last all the way that long. Is it possible? Maybe. But looks like the Red Bulls has switched over. TB taking 3rd from Reese.
That's smart, especially if TB has faster pace. All right, so they asked Mark a little bit ago, and it said 10 to 15 minutes. Minico just asked Mark, and it is 5 minutes until the rain is going to hit. If that's the case, without the safety cars, we will definitely get enough for inners. Will we get enough for wets? That will be the big question, because that big rain portion at the 7th patch indicates that it would be wet compound tires. Now, if there's a safety car, that ensures it for sure. But we haven't had a safety car so far this race, or a VSC. Most of the drivers have kept it out of the wall, except for Cam, Maxwell, and I believe Minico had his incident earlier on with George. So it's been a clean race so far. And remember, last season, we had the safety car turned off on accident. It was turned on, but it was on the wrong mode. So if we had one, no one would be able to pit under it or adjust anything under it. Luckily enough, no one got the settings wrong as far as I'm aware this time, and we would get proper safety cars. We were lucky not to have one last season, but we had 2 of them back in Season 9 and multiple back in Season 8, when that was a wet race as well.
Yep. Yeah, so if we took the benefit of the doubt with the minimum of, we'll just take the middle of 10 minutes, that's going to mean that we will be seeing rain potentially somewhere between lap 21 to 23. That's where we will probably see the first drops of rain coming under these green flag conditions. So with TB and Red Fire, I
was just going to say that's eerily similar to Season 8, I believe, if I'm correct with how it was. Just take out the safety cars pretty much.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I think in TB and Red Fire's case, since they're on the hard compounds, I would say play it safe and stay out. Stay out as long as you can and manage those hards.
That's smart.
Probably the best benefit you have to do. Because once that rain comes in, the people that are on the mediums, if they pit and they get onto those hards, they're going to have to pit again when the inters or wets come into play. Which means that is going to be a huge beneficial advantage to TB and Red Fire, who are on the hard compounds. They'll be a full pit stop ahead. But don't forget, you also still have some of the guys that are still in the medium compounds. Just take a look. Take a look right now. Excluding TB and Red Fire, Blue Goggy, Reese, KVS, Gecko, and Leo have not pitted yet, and they are on the medium tires.
By the way, Goggy, who hadn't pitted, got passed by Egg right there. Egg went for a dive bomb there into the first corner of Sector 2. Goggy was smart, gave it to him. Very good racecraft right there just to not fight it, because that's not your race at all. And for Red Fire's case, Red Fire on the old straight right before the Singapore Sling pulled over and let Egg through. Very smart, especially because look at the train behind Red Fire and Goggy. Look who it all is. Everybody who was right there with Egg fighting earlier on. Red Fire kind of gave him a little snatch back saying thank you. Same with Egg. They gave each other a little thank you. And right now, Goggy down the inside of Red Fire gets ahead. But this is happening in front of GTK. They have to navigate by this. Around the outside,
Whoa,
long way, making
Lord.
contact. JTK is getting through for now. Was that a piece of wing going up in the air? I saw something, but Skither also takes advantage too, and here comes Ding. Red Fire tried to fight it as much as he could for those Merc Academy cars, but again, it's all he could do. And now the next target is Blue Goggy. JTK, is he going to send it here? No. He's going to get sent on him, though. Skither went around the outside and tried to go on him. Now Goggy, is he trying to pull Slipstream and make sure none of them get it, or is he pulling over? We see that he's pulling Slipstream away from these guys and not allowing them to get the extra toe. But now JTK saw him struggle, goes to the inside here, and that will help JTK into this next corner, because watch this. Goggy will be on the inside and Skither can't get there. So that is very interesting in this fighting here for 8th place, and maybe if everything goes to plan, net P3, right? Because some people have pitted, some people have not.
It just all depends on the guys on the mediums that have yet to
Skither
pit.
through.
Skither goes down the inside of Blue Goggy into turn 1, gets it done. Now, meanwhile, with Red Fire, when he plummeted down, he got a minor slight hook with JTK coming out of turn 8, but that did allow. But there was no harm between the two. No one got crashed, but Red Fire did lose quite a bit of time out of that little hook over there. But meanwhile, further up towards the field, we have a battle for second. Gecko is under threat from TB.
And TB's hards are working its magic right now. He is gaining the gap down on Leo. I think Leo is doing everything he can to stay out until the rain occurs. For Leo Lund's case, remember, he stayed basically in the same ERS range this whole entire race, anywhere from 20 to 50%. We just had to move further on back with Mentelke and George. Side-by-side action there. They used to be Academy teammates, in fact. Right now, they are not. Mentelke is ahead for 14th. Those guys back there, they have pitted. And yeah, as I was saying about TB's hards, very smart here. If Leo, oh, yep, here it is. Here it is. The rain is hit.
Yep, I just saw the flash of the rain, which means the rain has arrived. But the wild thing is that those guys that are on the hard, those guys on the hards and the mediums, they've already passed it. Ooh yeah.
He's gonna lose a place, and TB gains a place on Gecko. That's the overtake done there. 11 seconds between Leo and TB. I'm interested to see when Leo does pit. Does he risk it out?
KVS.
Yep, right there down the straight. No move yet. JTK and Skither is the next chance for a move here down the same straight. Will it be enough for Inters soon enough? That's the thing. This track can get wet very, very quickly, or it can take up forever, it seems like. Skither pulled the dummy, and dive bomb, big lunge, is ahead.
Yeah, JTK got very evil coming out of that corner. So I think, whoa, he almost got hooked by Ding from another evil moment.
No!
Oh, they are hooked and stuck. But I don't see any damage on either car. But, man, that's disaster averted right there. But let's see, with the rain coming down,
Hold on, Jack is getting
let's see who's
Reese.
coming in.
Jack is getting Reese.
Jack on Reese.
That's important. Why is this important? Because Jack is there right with
Whoa!
TB. If TB were to go in, and wow.
Nice little slide by Reese, and actually Reese is coming in, yeah.
This is the first one. This, I would think, I mean, remember, he was on the mediums. This, I would think, is early. Is he doing this because of the risk of a puncture? That will be interesting. Penguin has just hit the wall. He does not have damage. He was the cause of yellow flags. Reese is on inners. We saw him do something different than everybody else did in the Season 8 race. Is he thinking the track is going to get wet very quickly? We saw earlier today, Titan, in the Imola race for Formula 2 of RPL, the track got wet quick. And you see how it's raining, and it's the first full lap of rain. It's barely wet, and it could just be boom, wet enough for inners. That's what it could be, and Gecko's struggling. Jack goes through.
Yeah, Jack has the way fresher tires available to him, but yeah, Reese is in Dig Pit, and he's on the inters, and he is down in 13th, right behind Red Fire. But once he gets past Red Fire, he's got Cryptic and Blue Goggy ahead. Those guys will probably easily make way and let Reese through to get himself into those positions back up into the points in 10th, and then put some pressure on the guys ahead. Let's see if Leo Lund is going to be going in this time. No, he's still staying out.
Meanwhile, Goggy and Cryptic traded spots, and now Goggy and Red Fire have traded spots. Reese is on the back of these two, and he's actually doing up to grips here with this inter. Look at this. Goggy pulls over, lets him go. Smart Academy move right there.
Jack is going back in.
Yes.
Same with Gecko.
That's why I said
KVS
Jack getting
too.
the TB is important. Reese is getting Red Fire. I think he clears him there. But that's why that was important, Titan, because if Jack got to TB and then they both went to inners here, that would have been kind of even playing ground. But Jack is pitted before, so maybe he gets the undercut. Not sure. Everybody seems to be coming in. Reese came in the lap earlier. Very similar to what we've seen before. Will Reese get the jump now becomes the question. By the way, for anyone wondering, as we mentioned, Cam did retire due to having no setup. So him and Dom were the two drivers who had no setup in this event. Remember, oh, Reese just cut turn one badly. That might be a warning for him. Just remember, coming out of the pit lane, even in these conditions, you've got to make sure you don't hit the pit wall. Don't pull a cookie. That can end your race, because the game will disqualify you for it for blocking the pit lane. And look at this track. It is fully wet. That is why Leo Lund has waited. I'm curious to see, has Leo Lund saved enough tire length to not have a puncture here?
Only time will tell, but Reese did not get the jump on Jack or Gecko, but he is much closer to these two. Now, bear in mind though, just taking a look at the leaderboard here, Jack 36 seconds behind Leo Lund. So Leo, when he does pit, he will have a decent advantage over. Yep. He is coming in. Yes, he is.
He was losing so much time to TB too, by the way.
Yeah, let's see what TB. Is he going to be coming in? Yes, he is. Skither, I no doubt in my mind, he will be coming in as well. So Skither will be coming in, and everyone's on the inters now.
Those guys are pitted on the hard.
I don't think DRS has been disabled yet, has it?
You were saying?
I was going to say, I don't think the DRS has been disabled just yet.
But it will be soon, I'm sure. I was just going to say, those guys who pitted from mediums to hards, they screwed themselves. They really did. Look at this track. It's so wet. We might get to a point in this race where we're going to wet tires. TBX is the pit lane. He's fine. He's fine for now. Leo's fine. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens.
Gecko just got TB.
Yeah, Gecko does jump him, and Reese is there. Reese is there. Reese may have got the jump on his teammate. Remember, TB passed him earlier on. These two cannot fight it out. You know, these two, I don't even think they get along as teammates. Skither came out behind Egg, by the way. Egg does have damage on the left end plate, too. That's going to be something to watch out for. And ding, 3 seconds.
Ding in the penalty box.
Yeah, that's a usual occurrence.
Yeah. But yeah, TB does stay ahead of Reese, though. But the problem was, going into that first DRS, the DRS is still active. Reese did have it. TB did not.
Yeah.
And TB still stayed ahead. So even though Reese had that slight advantage, I'm surprised TB didn't let him through.
So I want to mention one thing that no one has mentioned besides DRS
Oh, it
disable,
is
which we do
disabled
see now. But I want to mention Jack pitted from the mediums to the hards there. Jack then pitted for a second time to the inners, if I'm correct. I'm going to double check this. Yes, Leo pitted from mediums to inners. Leo was losing so much time to the point where, remember him and Jack earlier on in DRS? Jack pitted, lost basically a full pit stop. Look at that gap now. 7 seconds. That's how much Leo was losing on those mediums, just trying to nurse those tires around. The interesting thing about that, though, is that may be the difference in terms of later on in this race. If anyone goes for wets when it gets wet enough. You know, with that, I'm interested to see how long apart is that 6th and 7th patch. That may be the interesting thing we look out for, as Gecko now is in the penalty club. That is not good. That is for 3rd. He's trying to hang on for the podium. Might not get it now. The thing with Jack and Leo, though, if one of them stays out when it is enough for wet tires, they're going to be nursing it around like Leo did on those mediums. Interesting thing enough, will it be enough to change the things for track position? We saw Luke, TB, all those guys in the Season 8 running of this race stay out. They thought it was going to be not enough to do anything on wets. Well, Reese came from 40 seconds back. So if Leo chose to stay out here, when and if that does happen, that will be an interesting thing between him and Jack to watch out for. And maybe a what if with Jack. Could he have won this race if he did not make that pit stop the extra time?
It just all depends on your tire management, because everyone has a different style. Oof, man, TV almost just put in a wall at the drawbridge. That would have been really awful if that happened there. But here we go. But looks like our closest fight is at the back half of the points here. GTK is all over the back of Skither to try to reclaim that 8th place position. Ding, not too far behind, down in 10th. Let's see if GTK is willing to go for a shot down, going into turn numbers, I believe that's 15. But unfortunately, no, he's not close enough just yet. But GTK is still trying to put that pressure on him. Yeah, Gecko, by the way, in that penalty box, by the way. Just had to take a peek of something. But yeah, Gecko in the penalty box with that 3-second penalty. He is 1.5 seconds ahead of TB and 2.6 seconds ahead of Reese. And ooh, he just clipped the wall just a little bit right there. I would say with Reese, I would say have him get a little bit closer to TB and say, hey, the guy in 3rd has a penalty. Let's work together. Let's try to maximize our points out of this.
Interestingly enough, Mark has said it's going to stay this way for the next, well, it was a minute ago, this was mentioned, 9 minutes. It's going to stay the rest of the way for the it's going to stay this way for the rest of the way for the next 9 minutes. What does that mean, in my opinion? Well, it's going to stay to inners from the way we hear it. But what, there's 9 laps remaining? Whatever it is. It takes
9
more
laps.
than what?
It's 9 laps.
So, okay, so... lap 23, so that means what, 9 minutes remaining? 9 minutes, 9 laps remaining. So, the way I take it is that it's almost 2 minutes to get around the circuit when it's on inners. It's what, 1 minute 40, 1 minute 45-ish. So, if there's going to be wet tires available for the drivers, it'll be the last 3 laps, I would have to guess. But as Mark said, it's supposed to stay the rest this way for, the next 10 minutes. I don't know what that means, but hey, Skither made a mistake. JTK, is he going back through? Side by side. Can they survive these conditions? JTK so far is ahead.
Yeah, but Skither is still trying to fight. Switchback!
That's the second time he did it!
Ooh! And GTK forced to cut the corner, and that is a straight corner cut penalty, which GTK can get removed.
Yeah.
And we caught that on the stream. That was a vicious send by Skither. And GTK did want to pay the price for it and gets an additional 10 second for corner cutting. That will be taken down. And probably that 10 second that GTK got is going to get transferred to Skither instead.
Well, it worked in the dry for Skither to make that move, but it did not work in the wet. Here we go for a 3rd time now. Skither on the back of JTK. And as we get to Sector 2, is he going to go for a bonsai shot? No, not after what happened right there. I think Skither's got a lot more pace, but he needs to be a lot more patient trying to pass the Dutchman here. And further on back, we have a big battle with Redfire and Goggy. That's for 12th. They've been really going at it. I'm not going to pay attention to that just because, this battle for JTK in Skither's case is a lot more important, as Dom got himself in the penalty box, and the gap for the lead is 10 seconds right here. Very big dimension. I'm very interested to see why it's going to remain inners for the rest of the race from what Mark said. I know it can change any moment. We know how the weather is, but I'll have to ask the Ferrari Academy once more what they say if there's anything that changes. But, hey, everyone stayed on the intermediate tires at the end of Season 8, and we saw what happened. So, that's how I see it. It said the rest of this way for 10 minutes. It'd stay the same, but it takes, what, a minute 40, minute 45, minute 41 as KBS just did to get around here. So those 10 minutes, yeah.
Leo did
won't go by quick.
Leo about a lap ago did a minute 38 for his time lapse. So yeah, basically about a minute 40 for that. And when we had the 9 laps left, basically minute 40 a lap. This race will be done in just about 15. And back then it would be about 15 minutes. Here, probably within the next. Probably just about 10 minutes time will be the end of this.
10 to 12.
Just taking a look at the Twitch chat, by the way. JTK F1 fan, if you're wondering why JTK has penalties on his screen, seeing on your screen because your screen got blurry, JTK has 2 penalties on him. A 3-second for a corner cut because of that little dive bomb that Skither did to him. He got a straight 3-second corner cut penalty, and then got an additional 10-second for cutting the track and gaining a position, but that was because of Skither forcing him off and making him cut the corner. And those 2 penalties, I have no doubt, will get removed in the steward's office.
But they have to be submitted. They have to be submitted. That's the thing. You cannot get it removed just based on it not being submitted. I have to hope for your TP to
And he does not need the race director.
Correct, because that was a straight corner cutting, and that was a straight 10.
Yep.
Only problem for GTK is if this is wet enough for wets. Sorry, I was just going to say if this is wet enough for wets, the game will serve that 10-second, and Leo is pulling a massive gap. It's up to 12 seconds here. Our biggest margin to victory in RPL goes from Season 5 Monaco, 40 seconds. I don't think we'll get to that, but hey, I mean, anything's possible with Leo, right?
Yeah, anything is possible. But yeah, JTK, will those get dropped? Yeah, it will get dropped if it is submitted. I mean, I know JTK will likely submit it, and we did catch it on stream, so I will definitely snag a clip of it and submit it as well. So that will be taken care of, no problem. But yeah, Skither is still all over the back of GTK to go for the 8th place spot, but could be subject to a penalty later on. Meanwhile, TB, by the way, cannot get a grip to try to catch Gecko. Because TB, he gets Gecko into corners, but in some of these straightaways, some of these longer straightaways, Gecko is actually pulling away from him.
Oh, JTK is not happy with Skither. Skither and him made contact, and JTK almost spun out right there.
They collided again in turn 6 or turn 7.
What'd you say?
They collided again in turn 6 or turn 7?
Yeah, it was that first corner of Sector 2. I'm trying to remember what corner that is. That's 7, yes. So, Skither, I don't know what... I just caught the end of that. JTK almost spun out right there. He was so lucky not to. And I'm kind of snooping in on the Ferrari Academy Discord. He was not happy one bit. By the way, TB and Reese both are in that 3-second range of Gecko. That is important for both Red Bulls to do that. We're not going to get the Constructors wrap up anytime soon, but remember, Red Bull are trying to hang on to second over Ferrari and Aston Martin. Here goes JTK again around the outside. Long way this time. Trying to force Skither to, make a mistake, whatever it may be. And everyone is just struggling for grip right here. No one going for wet tires. I doubt anyone will this late in the event, but you never know. Things could still change. Skither almost ran off track, and JTK will not go for a move here into turn 1. Maybe we'll see one back into turn 7 this time for things kind of reversed around here with Skither this time in front and JTK behind. By the way, Titan, Leo Lund is trying to win his 4th race in a row.
Yeah, and I just took a look at the timing gaps. Reese is almost gonna be out of the 3-second gap of Gecko. He is
Flirting with it, yeah.
He's just about to hit 3 seconds apart.
No, he needs to stop
Gecko
flirting.
19 seconds behind the leader. Yeah, and now Reese is now. I was gonna say was just about 3 seconds behind the of Gecko. Just checking it out on the leaderboard here, but now he's still trying to maintain it. But Reese really needs some more giddy up. And I was gonna say if Reese was staying with TB, he probably would have asked TB, "Hey, I need help. I need some slipstream from you. Help me provide it so we can catch Gecko." But TB is pulling away here, and now Reese has now officially. Well, now it's back within it. I was about to say he was officially 3 seconds behind Gecko. But we'll keep tabs on that later on.
Is not able to pull this gap with JTK because of the fact that he has damage on one of his end plates. And JTK, from their incidents with each other, has not had any damage with Skither there. Ding, remember, he's in this train just quiet. I know he has the penalty, but if any of them two get a penalty in front in the stewards room, he will take full advantage of this. 14.5 seconds Leo leads Jack by with just a few laps remaining.
Yeah, and when you mentioned about with the penalties and such, but don't forget about Cryptic, who's down in 11th. He is about 7.5 seconds behind Skither. So if Skither does get that penalty, as mentioned, for that dive bomb on JTK, and JTK gets all those penalties taken off, we'll see JTK going to 8th place, Ding will go to 10th, and Cryptic will knock Skither out and take 10th. Skither will be knocked out of the points if that happens. And I believe under the live constructors fight right now, I believe at this present time, Mercedes is officially gonna be knocked out of the constructors fight.
And there will be a few knocked out of the drivers fight with that being said as well. By the way, you mentioned the incidents with JTK right there. If JTK submits any on the Mercedes Academy could definitely submit some back on him and say, hey, remember what you did earlier on with Egg and moved quite late in the straight? Yeah, we'll submit that too, and we'll make sure one of your 3 seconds at least stay. So that will be the big thing there. Leo Lund, I'm impressed with this right now. The opening start of F124, we've seen some gaps, a little bit over 10 seconds here and there and stuff like that, but the fact of the matter with Leo right now is that we're seeing a 15.3 second gap. The largest gap we've seen in any tier so far in F124 comes from Season 13 Tier 2 Monaco, 14.1. Leo's largest gap is a 13.5 second gap for the victory. I mean, if this race maybe went fully inter, we probably could have seen Leo get the largest margin of victory in RPL F1 history, which was back in Monaco with Maxwell, 40 seconds right there. I mean, this is just great stuff, and Jack, who used to be really good on the wet right now, clearly, he's good, but just not as good as Leo is. And TB is right there on the back of Gecko now. And Reese has lost.
Gecko must have made a mistake because Reese was 3.3 seconds behind Gecko. Now he's back within that 3-second gap of Gecko right now.
But Reese has lost a little bit to TB, though.
Yeah, just lost a tiny bit to TB. But Gecko did lose quite a bit there. And Leo, by the way, as you mentioned it, this is going to be the 4th time in Tier 1 for Season 11 that the winning margin has been over 10 seconds. But this will be, as you mentioned it, the largest gap on this game cycle, and it is the largest one for this tier so far. Ooh! Leo just got himself in the penalty box for turn 2!
That doesn't matter for him. He's just trying to push the limits to go even faster with 2 laps remaining in this race. But it's good to know that, you know, Leo Lund can still be a little bit vulnerable for some of these guys. But with the gap, it'll go from 16.2 to 13.2 when it's all said and done. And even if we still get this big gap, I mean, we're going to get the largest margin of victory if it's 15.3, 15, whatever, since Brazil of last season when Cookie won. So shades of that. TB is right there on Gecko, but TB is almost a 3-second gap over Reese right now. And that's what I'm looking at right here, because I'm a bit worried for Reese's case. Even if TB and Gecko battle, it might not be enough right there. By the way, I just want to mention some drivers further on back. Dom has been racing with Minico. Dom, no setup. Minico just had the damage earlier on. Penguin had an incident early on. So did Mintucky with a half spin. They're racing each other. And Goggy and Redfire aren't near each other anymore. That's for 12th and 13th. They were having quite an egregious battle. Not too bad with their races. And you mentioned Cryptic being in P11. When everything is said and done, the penalties get applied initially. Cryptic will have the last point spot, but if JTK does get that 10-second removed, he will have it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And speaking of which, Cryptic is over 10 seconds behind Skither. So even if Skither does get a penalty, he will still remain in the points, but he'll fall down to 10th place at this time. Meanwhile, TB is still all over the back of Gecko to try to go for what's essentially the 3rd place spot. He probably wouldn't want it on, in regards to penalties, he probably wants it on track. He wants that for sure. We are on the final lap, by the way, as Leo is currently going down the first DRS zone for the final time of this event, and he's got, and just a little bit ahead of him, he's got 2 cars. That's Dom and Minico close together for that 17th place spot. You want to be really crazy if Leo winds up catching them and wind up lapping them. Ooh. That would be a little wild.
It would. Gecko just had a power slide right there.
Yeah.
TB's going to go for the move here, and I really hope TB can help out Reese here. This would be the right thing to do as a team player. Go for it, TB. Do it. No, he's not doing it just yet. If these two fight big enough, it can put Reese within 3 seconds. I'm really hoping if TB does make this move, that he does kind of put Gecko back in the race here, just because these two had a bit of beef, even when they were teammates back in Miami with, you know, it was Japan where Reese had asked for TB asked for the place. Reese gave it to him. That favor was not returned when they were in the RB and Red Bull back in Miami. So that's why I say I hope that does happen. And Egg has got Skither. We've got Leo Lund, Night Titan, coming into the final few corners here for 4 wins in a row. He's going to take it if he just completes it.
So Leo Lund coming out of the last couple of corners for the final time. He'll get win number 9 of the season and 4 in a row for Leo. He wins in Singapore by a very competitive margin. Nearly 19 seconds the gap here. But here comes Jack coming out of the last couple of corners. He will wrap up.
Skither and Egg! That's Academy teammates! Down toward the hairpin. Egg might be out of the points with that being said. Egg has big damage. Skither has damage too. And JTK's coming back at it. JTK! Oh, I think he tried to retaliate maybe. He went in front of Skither and he's lost the place to Ding. Sorry to miss the cars coming across the line, but that was huge.
That was a massive incident there. Cat just missed it, actually. You better best record it since you caught it. But Skither will come across the line, but man, Skither's going to be facing some major problems here.
Yeah, and GTK.
Comes across there. GTK. I mean, in the game, he'll be knocked out of the points, but he is going to have those penalties taken off. But Egg in 8th, Ding 9, Cryptic 10. But like I said, GTK will get those penalties removed. But oh my God, I think Egg's gonna be very mad.
Yeah, he should be. By the way, Goggy has crashed out before the line. George got red fire. We're gonna see a photo finish of the line. Maybe George gets 12.
Goggy crashed before couldn't make it to the line.
I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he did that. We still have Dom and Minico fighting, by the way. Since you didn't get to mention it because we had the crash, Jack got podium 31, 8 on the season, and TB got podium 49, and that for him is his 4th on the season, by the way. And Gecko did hold on to P4 over Reese right there. Because of Goggy DNFing, or, well, crashing out, he still got classified, so we did have 18 finishers in an RPL Singapore race, possibly the most, I think, that we've had at Singapore specifically. So, good to see. Leo Lund.
I think we'll just say, I'm just going to say this. I really don't even care about, like, one of the other things, but I'm just going to say this. Goggy, for what he just did there, just crashing out just, like, 2 feet before the finish line, he's the fail of the day, right? Honestly. He's the fail of the day.
He would have been one spot behind his teammate, too.
But in regards to driver today, though, I mean, you have Leo, who's done really, really strong. Jack, who's had us some slight struggles, but he did phenomenally well. But then you have also TB, who started like ninth or 10th or something. It
10th.
started in
Yep.
10th, and he drove up all the way to finishing in third and getting Gecko for that podium. Fair credit to him. I'd say that's really good there. Um, but yeah, those are definitely going to be my contenders. It's one of those top three for sure.
Yeah, so here are your full points. We have Leo, Jack. Leo and Jack, by the way, 1-2 for the fourth time in RPL. Our most our most um our most 1-2 with a certain combo happened 9 times, so they're only 5 off of that, by the way. TB, who got on the podium last week, same podium, second week in a row, with those three. Gecko fourth, Reese fifth, KVS, then Skither, Egg, Ding, and Cryptic round out our points. JTK is outside the points, as we do know, but he could potentially be getting that removed. We will see when it does enter the storage room later on tonight. I want to give some other shout-outs. Red Fire ran really well in the Williams. I also want to give a shout out to Mentucky as well, 14th. I know it's not great for Haas, but this helps her a lot for getting used to that car in Tier 2. And yeah, it wasn't the best of races, but the thing is, she kept herself in that Gaki George fight with cars she shouldn't even be fighting, really. And I would have given Gaki credit, but he was just 100 feet away from the line, which if he got that further 100 feet, maybe got off the roller coaster a little bit earlier, then I would give him some credit because he was right behind Cryptic, who
He
qualified up there, but that
he
did not happen.
tried to imitate Luke from season 8, but he just wound up drastically failing.
Yeah, I hate to break it
That's
to you,
why
Gaki.
he's
Those
got
cars don't
failed
drive the
today.
same.
He's a clown.
But
That's
yeah,
a clownish
yeah, Gaki,
maneuver
those cars
right
don't
there.
drive the same. I hate to break it to you. It's unfortunate, but oh well. I mean, Cryptic does deserve a shout out. I mean, best of the rest in terms of those cars, not bad. And I'm gonna be honest, very clean race from Singapore. Very clean race. But I'm disgusted with whatever happened with JTK and Skither. I'm a big friend of JTK's, no doubt about it. Everyone's known that for quite a while, and I really like Skither. I like watching him and his moves and his overtakes. I'm big fans of both of them, even as a commentator. But I'm not going to put blame on one or the other, just because, commentary team. I don't want to put any bias there anyway. But I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with what happened there. I don't know. People are saying Skither took out Egg in the last lap, and JTK and Skither's battle was just it got dirty. It got personal and got dirty, and there was just no reason for that at all. I think Skither maybe misjudged his braking or misjudged, hitting the back of Egg right before the hairpin, because that happened right before the hairpin and right in front of JTK. And I think JTK locked up trying to pinch Skither because he saw, hey, you did that to me earlier. I'm going to do the same. You're going to put me right up against the wall and give me barely any space. I think JTK was probably frustrated heat of the moment and decided, you know what? I'm not playing nice anymore. And that's what he did, especially after seeing what he did to Egg right there, which that was interesting to see that Skither and JTK gain on Egg. Egg had that big gap. Didn't end up working out for Egg.
Yeah,
I
no
would
doubt
agree
about
for the
that.
day, by the way. I would agree with that. I do.
Yeah.
Leo would be my second option.
Well, that's gonna conclude the stream for tonight, and that's gonna conclude it for the weekend. So next week's events, we are gonna be seeing the second half of the seasons for Tier 3, Tier 2, and F2. So Thursday, Tier 3 will be at Zandvoort in the Netherlands. That's gonna be a fun little race for them. Tier 2 for their second half, for Friday, they'll be at Suzuka in Japan. F2 will be having their second half of the season kickoff in China. And then for F1, with 5 rounds, we're in the final 5, we'll be at Coda for round 16.
And the championship can be clinched next week, by the way. It can be. What needs to happen, just to keep people in mind, was it Leo or Jack or anyone else who got fastest lap?
I didn't see. I'm
gonna check my captures right now because I have it on there. I'm gonna check that right now, just so everyone is aware. I want to make sure we get this right. I will send these to Owen. But I see you leaving this session. I'm watching your angle too. I'm making sure you don't mistakenly go to captures.
I hit that by accident.
I know. So Leo.
I hit that by accident.
Okay, so Leo did get fastest lap, so that's an 8-point gap between him and Jack. So I'm doing the math right now. All right, so 83 points is that gap, meaning that Leo has to beat Jack next week by 21 points in Texas. Basically, if Leo wins the race and Jack finishes, I don't know, like 9th or lower or 8th or lower, it's kind of title done right there. So that is what needs to happen in Texas for the title to be clinched. Just an FYI over on that aspect. That's why I cut it on you, just because we'll be making everyone aware Leo can win the championship next week in Texas.
Very good on
Very
that
big,
one. So
very
from
big, very
RPL,
big.
yeah, can't wait for that one. RPL. So for RPL Stream, Cyanide Wolf, we're Ryan Searles. We say goodnight. Have a great one.